We're gonna do a pump oil change. So in order to do this, here's the basic equipment you're gonna need. You're gonna need a socket wrench with a 9/16 inch socket on there. And that's to remove this bolt right here. You're also gonna need some pump oil. So you can get high pressure pump oil, comes in a variety of containers. If you can't find high pressure pump oil or pump oil, you're gonna wanna look for a non-detergent lubricating oil with a 30 rating on there. This is generally really easy to find. This is fine to find as well. These are completely replaceable. You don't need to worry about finding one that has that high pressure pump oil rating on it. But if you do find it, that's a perfectly fine thing to buy. You're gonna want some cloth as well, just to clean the area. You're going to want something to drain your old oil into. You're gonna want something to put that new oil into the machine as well. And this is also just for draining that old oil as well. So that's everything that you need. Now, we're gonna open up the top of this for airflow. You may sometimes need a vice grip for this. We don't need that today. We're just gonna open this up by hand. And this is where you're gonna put in the new oil. But it's important for airflow, so you can get air through the system when you're draining the old oil. It'll save you a lot of time. Now, this bottom plug is where this oil is gonna begin to come out. So this is what you need 2 hands today for. That funnel under there. This is where that oil is going to begin to come out. Now, if your pressure washer has been running, this oil will be less viscous and will flow a little bit smoother. But if it hasn't been running that day, that's totally fine. It'll just be a little bit of a slower process. That's what that pump oil looks like. You can see it's black, which means this is very much due for a pump oil change. So we're gonna let this flow. There's really no point to tipping the system over at this point yet, but maybe once it starts to decrease in flow, I guess it's decreasing in flow now, we can actually start to tip this over slightly just to get more of that out of there. All right, well, this oil is more or less drained. We don't need to be perfectionists here. So we are going to put this bottom bolt back on. We're just gonna hand tighten it for now, but do not forget at the end to tighten this fully with your socket wrench. So it's tightened, hand tight. We are going to remove this, and we're gonna remove this dirty pump oil. Now, we are gonna we're gonna clean out whatever this is. We don't know what this is. Could be engine oil, could be pump oil. I don't wanna get engine oil into our system, so make sure to just have a clean workplace when you are working here. So we're gonna clean this out nicely. And we are going to begin to fill this with this high pressure pump oil. Sometimes it'll be green, sometimes it'll be color of new engine oil. Either way is fine. We're gonna fill this in through the top here. So I'm gonna begin that, but after I begin pouring this in, we're gonna move the camera down here because we wanna make sure we're taking a look here at this glass so it's filled to the appropriate level. Right, we're nearing the end here. Once we get towards the end, it'll go quick, so make sure to just pour in little bits at a time unless you have someone with you to assist you until it reaches that sort of middle of the glass. There should be a line indicating, sometimes there won't be, where it needs to be. So taking a look now, we're nearing the middle. We're gonna let this sit a little bit to make sure that everything is in there where it needs to be. Let it settle a little bit. And then we're just gonna take a look at the very end, if we let this sit for maybe 30 more seconds, and put in just a little bit more if needed. Okay. Taking a look at the glass there, we're pretty much full. We're just gonna put in this last maybe 1/4 ounce of oil here, just to get us to that appropriate fill level. Now that that is in the middle of the glass, we are going to apply this through the top. This just needs to be hand tightened. Don't feel any need to crank it down. And we are going to use the socket wrench, and we are gonna tighten that bottom socket. You don't wanna go crazy on this, but definitely a little bit more than hand tight is important. Right there, it's about good. So the maintenance schedule on these, you want to, after the very first use, if you have a brand new machine, to replace this oil, just like with engine oil, after that first use or that first 5 hours of use. The reason why we're doing this for both engine oil and pump oil is in case there's any metal shavings from those valves or any sort of gear that's just being used after being machined. It might cause a little bit of rubbing, have some sort of metal shavings in there. We really don't want metal shavings in the oil in our pump or in our engine. So that first use, for that first use or those first 5 hours, please replace the engine and the pump oil. After that though, unlike engine oil that needs replaced every 2 weeks during regular use or every 40 hours, we want to replace that pump oil after about 80 to 100 hours. So every other time you're going to do your engine oil, you should do your pump oil. We're going to dispose of our old pump oil. Now you want to put this in a container. Any plastic container is fine. The old container is perfectly fine as well. And you can mix this old pump oil with engine oil, and we're going to dispose of this here, and then we are going to take this to the dump or any other facility that will take used engine oil or pump oil and dispose of that there. It's a proper way to do it. Don't throw it away in the trash.